My wife Charlotte just asked me to buy her a third Mercedes because the second one doesn't match her new purse collection. I'm sitting in my leather chair, staring at our floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Chicago, wondering when exactly my life became a bad reality show about entitled socialites. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Alfred Grant, 58 years old, and I've spent the last 30 years as a defense attorney. I've defended murderers, embezzlers, and politicians, but nothing prepared me for living with Charlotte. She's 30, blonde, and has the moral compass of a shopping cart with a broken wheel. Alfred, are you even listening? Charlotte's voice cuts through my thoughts like nails on a chalkboard. She's standing in our marble-floored living room, wearing a dress that costs more than most people's monthly salary, tapping her Louboutin heel impatiently. I heard every word, sweetheart, I reply, not looking up from my legal briefs. You need a car that matches your purse. Very practical. Don't be sarcastic with me. You know how important image is in my line of work. Her line of work. Charlotte calls herself a lifestyle consultant, which apparently means posting photos of expensive meals on Instagram and charging desperate housewives $500 to tell them which yoga pants make them look less desperate. My phone buzzes. Eva's name appears on the screen, my sister, the only family member who still talks to me since I married Charlotte 3 years ago. I reach for it, but Charlotte snatches it first. Oh, it's your sister again, she says, declining the call with a theatrical eye roll. Probably wants more money for that delinquent son of hers. Give me the phone, Charlotte. She calls every week with some sob story. George this, George that. When is she going to learn that her precious boy is just a troublemaker? George is my 20-year-old nephew, Eva's son. He's been struggling since his father died 5 years ago, but he's a good kid. Charlotte has never liked him because he once called her fake at a family dinner. He wasn't wrong. The phone, Charlotte. She tosses it back to me with a smirk. Fine. But remember what we discussed about boundaries with your family. They're always trying to drag us down to their level. Their level. Eva works double shifts as a nurse at Cook County Hospital, raising George alone in a neighborhood where the biggest crime is occasionally loud music. Charlotte's idea of hardship is when the valet takes more than 30 seconds to bring her car around. I try calling Eva back, but it goes straight to voicemail. Probably nothing urgent. She usually just calls to check in, maybe share some story about George's college classes or her work at the hospital. I'm going out with Mitchell tonight, Charlotte announces, checking her reflection in the hallway mirror. We're scouting locations for my new wellness retreat concept. Mitchell. 28 years old, failed musician turned wannabe influencer, with a man bun that looks like it was styled by a tornado. He's Charlotte's business partner, though I've never seen any actual business conducted, just a lot of expensive lunches and research trips to luxury spas. How nice, I say. Will this wellness retreat actually generate income, or is it another tax write-off for your shopping addiction? You're so cynical, Alfred. Mitchell has connections in the wellness industry. He understands my vision. I bet he does. Mitchell understands a lot of things, like how to spend other people's money and how to convince bored housewives that crystals will solve their problems. After Charlotte leaves in her first Mercedes, the one that apparently doesn't match anything, I pour myself a scotch and try Eva's number again. Still no answer. My law partner, Hobbs, always warned me about marrying someone young enough to be my daughter. Alfred, he said at my bachelor party, that girl looks at you like a retirement plan with legs. I laughed it off then. Now I realize Hobbs wasn't making a joke. He was making a diagnosis. The next morning, Charlotte's already gone when I wake up. There's a note on the kitchen counter. Gone to yoga with the girls. Need $2,000 for the new instructor's private sessions. She's very exclusive. XOXO. $2,000 for yoga. I've defended people who committed armed robbery for less money. I'm reviewing case files when my secretary buzzes in. Mr. Grant, there's a Detective Owens here to see you. Says it's about your nephew. Send him in. Detective Owens is a tired-looking man in his 40s with the kind of face that's seen too much. He sits across from my desk and pulls out a notepad. Mr. Grant, I'm here about George Martinez, your sister's son. He was arrested 6 months ago on drug possession charges. Cocaine, intent to distribute. He's been in Cook County Jail awaiting trial. 6 months. My nephew has been in jail for 6 months, and I'm just hearing about it now. That's impossible, I stammer. Eva would have called me. I would have helped. Detective Owens looks uncomfortable. According to our records, she did try to contact you, multiple times. Your wife told her you were too busy with important cases and couldn't be bothered with family drama. The room starts spinning. Charlotte. Charlotte knew. She's been intercepting Eva's calls, lying to my sister, letting my nephew rot in jail while she spent my money on yoga instructors and purse-matching cars. Detective, what's George's current status? Not good. Public defender barely looked at his case. The evidence is questionable. I think the kid got set up, but without proper representation. He shrugs. He's looking at 5 to 10 years. After Detective Owens leaves, I sit in my office staring at the phone. 5 to 10 years. George, who wanted to be a teacher, who worked nights at a grocery store to help Eva with bills, facing a decade in prison while I bought my wife luxury cars. I call Eva. This time she answers, and the sound of her crying makes my chest feel like it's caving in. Alfred? Her voice is broken, exhausted. I tried calling so many times. Charlotte said you were too busy, that you didn't want to get involved with our problems. Eva, I never got your messages. I swear I didn't know. He's innocent, Alfred. Someone planted those drugs in his car, but his lawyer says without money for a proper investigation. She starts crying harder. I'm coming over. We're going to fix this. Charlotte said you couldn't afford to help because of your own legal troubles. She said you were having money problems. Money problems. While Charlotte spent $5,000 last week on a cleansing retreat in Napa Valley. I drive to Eva's apartment in a rage that makes my vision blur. She lives in a modest 2-bedroom place that's clean but worn, the kind of home where every dollar is counted twice. When she opens the door, I barely recognize my sister. She's lost weight, aged years and months, her nurse's uniform hanging loose on her frame. I'm so sorry, Eva. I'm going to get George out of there. It's too late, Alfred. The trial starts next week. His lawyer says to take the plea deal, 3 years instead of 10. No plea deal. I'm taking over George's case. Eva looks at me with something between hope and disbelief. Can you do that? Charlotte said. Forget what Charlotte said. Charlotte has been lying to both of us. That evening, I confront my wife in our living room. She's lounging on our white leather couch, scrolling through her phone, probably planning her next expensive adventure. We need to talk about George. She doesn't look up. What about him? He's been in jail for 6 months. Eva's been trying to reach me. Now she looks up, but there's no guilt in her expression, just mild annoyance. Oh, that. Yes, I handled those calls. I didn't want you distracted by their drama. Their drama? My nephew is facing 10 years in prison. Charlotte shrugs. Maybe he should have thought about that before getting involved with drugs. I'm not going to let your family's poor choices drag down our reputation. You let my sister think I abandoned her. You let my nephew sit in jail. I protected our interests, Alfred. Do you know what it would do to my brand if people knew my husband was defending drug dealers? My followers expect a certain lifestyle, a certain class of people. Her brand. Her followers. My nephew's life destroyed for Instagram likes. Pack your things, Charlotte. We're done. She laughs, actually laughs. Oh, please. You need me, Alfred. Look at yourself. You're almost 60, boring as dirt, and without me you'd be just another lonely old lawyer. Besides, half of everything is mine. The condo, the cars, the accounts. I'm not going anywhere. She's right about the assets. In my stupidity, I put everything in joint accounts, joint ownership. Charlotte has access to everything I've worked 30 years to build. But she's wrong about one thing. I'm not just another lawyer. I'm a very good lawyer, and I'm about to remind her why that matters. The next morning, Charlotte wakes up to find all her credit cards declined, every joint account frozen. The Mercedes won't start because I've had it repossessed. She storms into my office at 7 a.m., still in her silk pajamas, screaming loud enough to wake anyone. What did you do? She shrieks. I protected my assets, I say calmly, not looking up from George's case files. Turns out there's a little-known clause in our prenup about concealment of material information affecting family welfare. Your lies about Eva's calls constitute fraud, which voids your claim to marital property. That's not legal. I wrote the prenup, Charlotte. I know exactly what's legal. She tries to grab the papers from my desk, but I'm faster. You can't do this to me. I have commitments, appointments. Mitchell and I have a business meeting today. Then I suggest you ask Mitchell to pay for it, though I hear failed musicians don't have much disposable income. Her face turns an interesting shade of purple. You bastard! I made you relevant. Before me, you were just some pathetic old man with no social life. And before me, you were just some pathetic young woman with no money. I'd say we're even. Charlotte storms out, but not before throwing my coffee mug against the wall. My secretary, Mrs. Patterson, pokes her head in after the door slams. Should I call security, Mr. Grant? No need. She'll be back when she realizes she has no money for cab fare. I spend the morning reviewing George's case, and Detective Owens was right. The evidence is garbage. The drugs were found in George's car after a routine traffic stop. But the officer's report has more holes than Swiss cheese. No probable cause, no witnesses, and George's alibi puts him at work when the alleged deal supposedly took place. Any competent lawyer could get this dismissed. George's public defender apparently isn't competent. I drive to Cook County Jail to see my nephew. The visiting room smells like disinfectant and despair, filled with families talking through thick glass windows. When George appears, I barely recognize him. He's lost weight, his eyes are hollow, and he moves like someone who's given up hope. Uncle Alfred. He picks up the phone with shaking hands. Mom said you might come, but I didn't believe it. Charlotte told her you were too busy. Charlotte lied. I'm here now, and I'm getting you out. The trial's next week. My lawyer says I should take the plea deal. Your lawyer's an idiot. The case against you is weaker than gas station coffee. We're going to trial, and we're going to win. For the first time in months, George smiles. Really? Really, but I need you to tell me everything. Who might have planted those drugs? Any enemies? Anyone who might want to frame you? George thinks for a moment. There's this guy, Danny Kruger. He deals drugs around campus, always trying to recruit kids to work for him. I turned him down, told him I wasn't interested. He got pretty mad, said I thought I was better than everyone. When was this? About a week before I got arrested. He said I'd regret embarrassing him in front of his friends. Bingo. I make notes while George talks, building a picture of what really happened. Danny Kruger, small-time dealer with a big ego, frames the kid who rejected him. It's not original, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to be true. George, I'm going to get you out of here. But when this is over, I want you to stay away from your Aunt Charlotte. She's not the person I thought she was. Mom already told me what she did. I never liked her anyway. She always looked at us like we were dirt on her shoes. Smart kid. Smarter than his uncle, apparently. I spend the afternoon investigating Danny Kruger. Turns out he's been arrested 3 times in the past year, always with the same arresting officer. Officer Martinez, who also happened to arrest George. Interesting coincidence. By evening, I have enough to file motions challenging the search, the arrest, and the evidence. I also have a private investigator digging into Officer Martinez's finances. Dirty cops usually leave dirty trails. Charlotte's waiting in my office when I get back, but she's not alone. Mitchell is with her, looking like a scarecrow in designer clothes. His man bun is even more ridiculous up close, and he's wearing sunglasses indoors like some kind of discount rock star. Alfred? Charlotte says, trying to sound conciliatory. We need to talk. Mitchell has some insights about our situation. Our situation? Mitchell leans forward, trying to look serious. Dude, Charlotte told me about your family drama. That's heavy. But you can't let personal stuff destroy your marriage, you know? Charlotte's got a good thing going with her brand, and you're like sabotaging her success. I stare at him for a long moment. Mitchell, is it? Yeah, man. I'm Charlotte's business partner. Right. And what exactly is your business background? He shifts uncomfortably. Well, I'm more of a creative visionary. I understand the wellness space, the influencer economy. Charlotte and I are building something revolutionary. With my money. Investment, dude. You gotta spend money to make money. I turn to Charlotte. This is your plan? Send your boyfriend to negotiate with me? He's not my boyfriend, she protests, but her face is red. Mitchell stands up, trying to look intimidating. Hey, man, that's disrespectful. Charlotte and I have a professional relationship. Professional? Right. And how much has this professional relationship cost me so far? Charlotte and Mitchell exchange glances. That's not important, she says. What's important is that we move forward. I'm willing to forgive your little tantrum if you unfreeze the accounts. Forgive me? Charlotte, you destroyed my relationship with my family. You let my nephew sit in jail. You've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on your brand, while my sister worked double shifts trying to afford a lawyer. Your family's problems aren't my responsibility. But my money is? Mitchell tries to jump in again. Look, Alfred, can I call you Alfred? You're thinking about this all wrong. Charlotte's influence, her network, that's an asset. You should be supporting her vision. Her vision of spending my money? Investment in her platform, man. She's got like 50,000 followers. That's worth serious cash in the right hands. 50,000 followers. I defended a notorious criminal once who had more people interested in his story. Here's my counteroffer, I say, standing up. Charlotte, you have 24 hours to move out of my condo. Mitchell, you have 24 seconds to get out of my office before I call security. Mitchell puffs up like an angry peacock. You can't talk to us like that. Charlotte has rights. Charlotte has the right to remain silent. Unfortunately, she's never exercised it. After they leave, I pour another scotch and call Eva with an update. She cries when I tell her about the evidence problems in George's case, but these are tears of relief. I knew you'd fix this, she says. I never should have believed Charlotte. Charlotte's very convincing when it serves her purposes. What's going to happen with your marriage? My marriage ended the day she decided your son's freedom was less important than her image. I just didn't know it yet. The next morning, Charlotte's gone, but she's taken everything she can carry. Jewelry, clothes, electronics, even some of my law books, though I doubt she plans to read them. She's left a note. You'll regret this. Mitchell and I are going to be huge, and you'll be nothing but a bitter old man with no one. Maybe. But I'll be a bitter old man whose nephew isn't in prison. George's trial begins on a Tuesday. I arrive at the courthouse early, wearing my best suit and carrying 3 boxes of evidence that will destroy the prosecution's case. Charlotte and Mitchell are in the gallery, presumably to watch me fail. Charlotte's dressed like she's attending a charity luncheon, while Mitchell looks like he raided a thrift store's reject bin. The prosecutor, a young woman named Sarah Chen, approaches me before we start. Mr. Grant, I have to ask, are you sure you want to take this to trial? Your nephew could get the minimum with a plea deal. Ms. Chen, my nephew is innocent. Innocent people don't take plea deals. She looks uncomfortable. The evidence is pretty solid. Drugs in his car, his prints on the bag. Evidence that was illegally obtained by a corrupt cop who's been taking payoffs from the real dealer. But you'll see that soon enough. The trial is a massacre. I systematically destroy every piece of the prosecution's case. Officer Martinez's financial records show suspicious deposits coinciding with Danny Kruger's arrests. The search was illegal. The chain of custody was broken. By lunch, the prosecutor looks like she wants to disappear. But the real fireworks start when I call Danny Kruger to the stand. I had my investigator track him down, and he's exactly what I expected. A small-time punk with delusions of grandeur. Mr. Kruger, do you know my nephew, George Martinez? Yeah, I know him. How do you know him? From around campus. Did you ever offer him work? I don't know what you mean. I show him a photo taken by campus security. This is you talking to George outside the library 3 weeks before his arrest. What were you discussing? Danny shifts in his seat. Just saying hi. Really? Because 3 witnesses heard you offer him money to deliver packages for you, and when he refused, you said he'd regret it. That's not true. Mr. Kruger, are you currently facing charges for drug distribution? That's different. Different how? Different because Officer Martinez, who arrested my nephew, has arrested you 3 times, but somehow you keep getting reduced sentences? The prosecutor objects, but it's too late. The jury has heard enough. Mr. Kruger, did you plant drugs in my nephew's car to frame him? No. Did you pay Officer Martinez to arrest George? I want a lawyer. You should have wanted one 6 months ago. The jury deliberates for 20 minutes. Not guilty on all charges. George breaks down crying. Eva hugs me so hard I can't breathe, and Charlotte storms out of the courtroom looking like someone stole her favorite toy. Outside the courthouse, reporters are waiting. The story of the corrupt cop and the framed college student is exactly the kind of thing that sells papers. Mr. Grant, how does it feel to save your nephew? It feels like justice, I say. George is a good kid who got caught up in someone else's corruption. I'm just glad the truth came out. What's next for you? I glance over at Charlotte and Mitchell, who are standing by a taxi looking lost. I'm going to spend some time with my family. Real family. That evening, Eva cooks dinner for the 3 of us in her small apartment. George looks like himself again, talking about going back to school, maybe studying law. Eva keeps thanking me, but I'm the one who should be apologizing. I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me, I tell them. You're here now, Eva says. That's what matters. My phone buzzes. Charlotte's name appears on the screen, but this time I'm the one who declines the call. Aren't you going to answer that? George asks. No, I'm exactly where I need to be. Later that night, I return to my empty condo. It's quiet without Charlotte's constant chatter, but it's a peaceful quiet. I pour a scotch and sit in my leather chair, looking out at the city lights. My phone rings again. This time, it's Hobbs. Alfred, I saw the news about George's case. Hell of a job. Thanks. It felt good to practice law instead of just financing shopping sprees. Speaking of which, I heard Charlotte's been calling around, looking for a divorce lawyer. Apparently she thinks she's entitled to half your assets. I laugh. Let her try. The prenup is ironclad, and her fraud voids any claim she might have had. She'll be lucky to get bus fare. What about Mitchell? What about him? He's a failed musician with delusions of grandeur. Without my money, Charlotte will drop him faster than a hot microphone. You sound almost cheerful about this whole thing. You know what, Hobbs? I am. For the first time in 3 years, I feel like myself again. The next few weeks pass quietly. George returns to school, Eva goes back to her normal schedule at the hospital, and I focus on my law practice. Charlotte calls occasionally, usually drunk, sometimes threatening, sometimes pleading, but I never answer. Then, one Friday evening, she shows up at my office with Mitchell and 2 other people I don't recognize. A woman with too much plastic surgery and a man in an expensive suit who looks like he sells used cars for a living. Alfred, we need to talk, Charlotte announces, barging past Mrs. Patterson like she owns the place. Visiting hours are over, Charlotte. This is important. I want you to meet my new business partners, Brenda and Rick. They're investors in my wellness empire. I look at Brenda and Rick, who both have the desperate gleam of people who've made very bad financial decisions. Congratulations. I'm sure you'll all be very happy together. We need startup capital, Charlotte continues. Just a small loan to get things off the ground. How small? $200,000? I nearly choke on my coffee. $200,000? It's an investment, Alfred. We're going to revolutionize the wellness industry. With what? Overpriced yoga classes and crystal therapy? Mitchell steps forward, trying to look businesslike. We've got a solid business plan, dude. Wellness retreats, online coaching, branded merchandise. The market's huge. The market for separating fools from their money is always huge, Mitchell. But I'm not funding it. Brenda finally speaks up. She sounds like she's been smoking cigarettes since birth. Charlotte said you were supportive of her entrepreneurial spirit. Charlotte says a lot of things. Most of them are lies. You're being unreasonable, Charlotte snaps. This is my chance to build something real. Your chance to build something real was 3 years ago when you married me. You chose to tear it down instead. Rick, who's been quiet until now, leans forward with a sleazy smile. Mr. Grant, maybe we can work out a different arrangement. Charlotte's told us about your family situation. Wouldn't want that kind of publicity affecting your law practice. I stand up slowly. Are you threatening me, Rick? Just pointing out mutual interests. Here's my interest, Rick. I want you, Brenda, Mitchell, and my soon-to-be ex-wife out of my office in the next 30 seconds, or I'm calling security. You can't treat us like this, Charlotte shouts. Watch me. They leave, but I can hear Charlotte screaming in the hallway about what a mistake I'm making, how sorry I'll be, how she's going to ruin me. Mrs. Patterson closes the door and shakes her head. That woman has some serious problems, Mr. Grant. That's why she's my ex-wife, Mrs. Patterson. But Charlotte's not done. Over the next month, she launches a campaign of harassment that would be impressive if it weren't so pathetic. She posts lies about me on social media, calls my clients trying to turn them against me, and even shows up at the country club trying to spread gossip. The problem is, nobody cares. My clients know me, my reputation speaks for itself, and the country club members think Charlotte's behavior just confirms what they already suspected about gold-digging trophy wives. The final confrontation comes at Eva's birthday party. I'm at her apartment with George and a few of Eva's friends from the hospital when Charlotte shows up, drunk and furious. There you are, she slurs, pointing at me through the open door. Hiding with your precious family. Charlotte, you need to leave. I need to leave? You destroyed my life. You took everything from me. I took back what was mine. There's a difference. She pushes past me into the apartment, and I can smell the alcohol on her breath. These people, she gestures wildly at Eva and her friends. These are the people you chose over me? A nurse and a bunch of nobodies? Eva steps forward, and for the first time since I've known her, my sister looks angry. Get out of my home. Your home? Charlotte laughs bitterly. This dump? Alfred used to live in a penthouse, drive luxury cars, eat at the best restaurants. Now look at him, slumming it with the working class. Charlotte, I start, but George interrupts. Lady, you need to shut up and leave. Charlotte turns on him with vicious glee. Oh, the little criminal wants to talk tough? How's prison food, George? Get used to it, because that's where people like you belong. That's when Eva slaps her. Hard. The sound echoes through the small apartment like a gunshot. Don't you ever speak to my son that way, Eva says quietly. He's worth 10 of you. Charlotte holds her cheek, shocked. You hit me. Alfred, did you see that? She assaulted me. I saw a mother defending her child from a drunk who broke into her home. I'm calling the police. Good idea. I'm sure they'll be very interested in your trespassing, public intoxication, and harassment charges. Charlotte looks around the room at the hostile faces staring back at her. Even Mitchell, who's been lurking in the hallway, looks like he wants to disappear. This isn't over, Alfred. You think you've won, but you haven't. I'll make you pay for what you did to me. Charlotte, what I did to you was marry you. That was my mistake, and I've corrected it. What you did to yourself is spend 3 years proving that Hobbs was right about you from the beginning. She leaves finally, dragging Mitchell behind her. The party continues, but the mood is subdued. Later, after everyone's gone home, Ava and I clean up while George studies at the kitchen table. I'm sorry about that, I tell Eva. She had no right to come here. She's hurt and angry. Hurt, angry people do stupid things. She's also cruel and selfish. Those aren't symptoms of pain. That's just who she is. Eva dries a plate thoughtfully. Do you regret marrying her? I regret not seeing who she really was, but if I hadn't married her, I might never have realized how much my real family means to me. We never stopped loving you, Alfred, even when we thought you'd chosen her over us. I know, and I'll never make that mistake again. 6 months later, the divorce is final. Charlotte gets nothing except her clothes and her car, the one that doesn't match her purses. The prenup holds up perfectly, and her fraud claim is dismissed with prejudice. I hear through the grapevine that she and Mitchell broke up after he realized she was broke. Brenda and Rick disappeared when their investment opportunity evaporated. Charlotte moved back in with her mother in Ohio, where she's apparently working at a department store and complaining bitterly about her fall from grace. I don't feel sorry for her. People who use others as stepping stones shouldn't be surprised when they end up alone. George graduates college with honors and gets accepted to law school. Eva gets promoted to head nurse in her department. And I'm exactly where I belong, practicing law, spending time with my family, and sleeping peacefully at night knowing I chose the right side. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well. And sometimes, when someone tries to destroy your family, the best response is to show them what family really means. Charlotte wanted to marry a successful lawyer. She got one. She just never understood that success isn't measured in dollars or status symbols. It's measured in the people who stand by you when everything else falls apart. I learned that lesson the hard way, but I learned it. Charlotte never did. That's the difference between us, and that's why she lost.